What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's the office Christmas party at QI and we're ready to get down with a G for Groovy show. So let's hang loose, boogie-woogie and put a donk on some awesome anecdotes and funky facts with tonight's guests, the well-wicked Lee Mack. The well-safe Bill Bailey. The well-cool David Tennant. And the well-I-never, it's Alan Davis. We were slightly afraid that you may not have heard enough Christmas songs in the shops this week, so Lee goes...
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Ah, Bill goes...
So here it is, Merry Christmas.
David goes...
Last Christmas,
And Alan goes... Excellent. Well, later on, we're going to put the photocopying machine to some really imaginative use. But first, a bit of bad news. As it's Panto season, we had hoped to bring you Buttercup, the QI cow, but I'm afraid she's gone missing. If you see her, you will let me know, won't you, boys and girls? Is she? Oh, boys and girls, I wish you'd warned me earlier. Hello, Buttercup. Great to see you. What I'd like you to do is to do a demonstration for the boys and girls. Can you do that? Would you like to go around the front and do? Now, what Buttercup is going to do... Buttercup does impressions, all right?
Right.
And Buttercup is going to do an impression, and you have to try and guess what she's doing an impression of. Off you go, Buttercup, darling.
Is it two out-of-work actors?
Oh, they're stamping their tiny heel. There we go. And...
Is it the way of walking?
Ah,
Slightly?
brilliant, Alan,
Is
yes.
it with the legs not being in opposition or something like that?
Yes, because cows don't normally walk like that. So she's doing an impression of...
A freak.
A cow with an inner ear problem.
Yeah.
Or of an animal that does walk in that way. Left, right, left, right.
A weasel.
Lovely idea, but not a weasel.
Oh.
There are a couple, actually.
Rhino?
Oh,
A tapir.
the other one in... You're in Africa, you're on safari.
Dormouse. Giraffe.
Dormouse.
Massive
Giraffe is the right
Giraffe.
idea. That was Buttercup. Yes, Buttercup's very proud of herself. That was a very fine... It was a very fine imitation of a giraffe, because giraffes and camels, in fact, do that left-right walk. But cows, like horses... Would you like to do how you normally walk, Buttercup? You see?
What? So I'm slightly drunk?
Is that a cow creeping up on someone?
So, ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to Buttercup! Never, ever in the history of show business has the phrase, don't milk it, love, been more appropriate. But you're right. I mean, no, you've got to have points, Alan, because the whole question was about the gait of four-legged animals. And do you know when it was decided, for example, there's how a giraffe actually walks. That's how... But who was it, do you know, for extra points, extra Christmas bonuses available, if you can tell me who the man was who was responsible for basically demonstrating to the world how horses, for example, ran... progressed.
Is it something to do with cinema, moving images?
Yes.
It was...
A French cinematographer.
He was not French, no.
No.
His name was Edward Muybridge.
Oh.
Yep. Aye. No, he's quite well known, and I bet lots of people in the audience. You knew, didn't you, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. And these are some of his pictures. His book was Animal Locomotion, and he demonstrates the difference between walking, galloping, cantering, and trotting in horses. He not only did horses, he's best known for how horses galloped, he also did humans, and he was no stranger to controversy. He murdered his love rival in cold blood.
What?
Yeah.
Did he take photos of that as well?
He might have done, because he was the first person in American legal forensic history as a murderer to claim what excuse?
Insanity.
Yes! Points for David Tennant. Absolutely.
Well,
were you Anyway, the point is, our lovely buttercup, the QI cow, was giving us her giraffe impression. And speaking of giraffes, what use is a giraffe bicycle? Lee?
Sorry, I was thinking of the hedgehog skateboard. Sorry. different thing, that, isn't it?
Any thoughts?
I'd like to point out that on the day I went giraffe riding, we didn't actually put pram wheels on the giraffe.
No. Fair point.
Those have been added in.
You don't want letters.
Well, you mean a giraffe that's been fashioned into a bicycle as opposed to a bicycle for a giraffe?
A bicycle with a long neck.
We've been seasonally silly, and Alan is right. It is, in fact, a big bicycle. And it was called the giraffe bicycle. It was its official name. It had a little badge on it saying the giraffe bicycle. And it had a specific function. But you may know that all bicycles at the beginning were very big. I mean, there it is. There is the giraffe bicycle. And there is its badge.
It's lethal. What happens when you get to the traffic lights? Oh, there weren't traffic lights there.
No, of course. Delivering papers to a giant mailbox.
You're thinking, and that's good.
OK, thank you.
For lighting lamps.
Yes, David Tennant, more points.
Thank you.
This is all the time travel he does. He knows something about every era.
He's acting.
It's not real. What? What do you mean?
Don't listen.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry. Have I upset you?
Don't tell me, don't know it's real.
Don't listen to the bad man. Don't listen to the bad man.
I know, it's a documentary, I know.
Yes, exactly.
Cybermen are real. I saw one in the corridor upstairs looking for him. Mr. Tennant, on that.
Can I just ask a question about that?
Yeah.
If they offer lighting lamps, you must have to do it on the move. You must go, whoa, otherwise you'll fall over when you stop.
You get to the lamp, you lean against the lamp, you've got a torch, you've got an assistant, and you raise your lit torch to lit... It's gas lamps we're talking about, obviously.
Right.
Yep, and then when you get home or back to the depot, your assistant dismounts you.
What if you're leaning on the lamp?
We've got a very Christmassy audience.
If you were leaning on the lamppost and a buck-toothed man with a ukulele walked past, would there be anything that could...
Just lean down and set light to him.
Oh, Mr. Wu! Ow!
But if you got a lick up, you could use the post to swing around. You could do like a figure of 8 between them all.
That would be brilliant, and you've got a TV show, basically. Giraffe biking on ice.
Celebrity.
Yeah, celebrity giraffe
biking on ice.
So, the thing is, early bicycles were all very tall. What was the first... You know, the classic sort of bicycle.
Penny farthing.
Penny farthing, and that was actually known as an ordinary bicycle.
This looks lethal.
It does, doesn't it? But, amazingly, the first bicycle, which is the kind we would know, i.e. with a chain that drove the back wheel from pedals, was known as a dwarf safety. And that was considered a really tiny bike. So it just shows most bicycles for a long time were like this.
I always wonder, how did they get on those things?
I guess it was a leany thing, and like horses. I guess they used to
get out of a first-floor window. Get down onto it.
Yeah. There were novelty big bicycles, and the Clark brothers built flood bikes, which were to go above floodwaters so that you could get around.
See, now that's what I thought that other one was.
Yes, that would have been a good guess.
I thought that was going to be something.
Higher than the penny farthing?
I guess it was, yeah.
How flooded did it used to get?
Higher than the penny farthing, you say?
Then, of course, there was the cross-channel bike, which was a quarter of a mile up into the sky.
But there are people on tall bikes to this day who reenact sort of tourneys, you know, like jousting with lances on bikes.
That really does look dangerous.
Yeah, highly. We used to do at school, we used to do what we call quad hockey, which is like a polo, only on bikes. You use a hockey stick and a ball, and you just go round on a...
On quad bikes?
No, not on quad bikes. It was in a quadrangle.
And a quadrangle?
Yeah.
And you were playing hockey in a quadrangle?
But, yeah,
you had a very different sort of schooling.
Why? Well, how is that different?
Well, in my school, we used to set fire to cars.
Yeah. we were in a gravel pit with a dead badger.
We just played Quidditch.
No! There you are.
It's all right, I suppose.
Yep.
Flying.
Giraffe bicycles were a boon to the weary lamplighter. How do you react, team, to queue barges?
Oh, very unfavourably.
Very badly.
Very unfavourably. Do you?
Yes, it goes against the very bedrock of Western society. And also, the late mergers, you know, in lanes.
Oh, yeah.
You're in the motorway, and there's a coned-off lane, and you think, well, I'd better conscientiously merge now. and somebody will go right the way down the end of the thing, and then, yeah, try again.
No, worse than that.
You do that. Curse you, leg merger, Davis.
Do you know
To be fair, though, Alan is a part-time ambulance driver.
Do you know, rather brilliant, in America and some states, they have, when two lanes have to merge like that, they go, like a zip, exclamation mark, because that's...
Oh, you merge.
1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's rather brilliant, that, isn't it?
I hate the late mergers in the bar queue. That's worse. When you're 6 deep at a bar and they just get on the edge.
Oh, I hate the bar.
Especially
You're at the
football.
bar and there's someone at the back who taps the bloke next to you and says, get us a couple of pints, will you, mate?
Or when you're at the bar and someone leans forward with money and they get served first just because they're on television.
Yeah, I hate...
Mr. Fry, go away, scum.
Make way, make way! Lord Fry! Come for a port.
Here he is, on his bicycle with his hockey stick. Make way! Make way, I
Special
say.
bottle here, Mr. Fry. Clear that table, get up, get out.
Can anyone here sing the Lord's Prayer in Latin? No? Well, out, all of you, all of you.
Throw that man on the fire.
Pater noster quiescing caelis sanctificator nomen tuum adveniat. No, anyway, it just so happens I do know that.
There you go, you see.
I don't know why. But queue jumping. It is despicable, and you would think most people reacted very badly if someone were to walk in and just simply barge in front of a queue. But do you know the name? You're probably familiar with the experiments done by a behavioural psychologist in which members of the public were given white coats and asked to inflict pain. Stanley Milgram is the one best known for it.
He asked people to do things that were against what they considered to be right, and yet, because they were told to do it...
And the person doing it had apparent authority, had a white coat. But the less well-known experiments he did were in queues, and he would... or lines, as he would say, as an American. 129 different times he tried in betting shops, railway stations, elsewhere. Betting shops, you'd think, were people who would not be afraid to show their opinion if someone barged in. And what the experimenters had to do was, one, enter the queue between the third and fourth person in line, say in a neutral tone, excuse me, I'd like to get in here, step into the queue, face forward, and only leave the queue when someone admonished them or after 1 minute, whichever was sooner. And on only 10% of occasions was the queue jumper forced to leave the line because they were admonished. And in only 50% did anyone so much as tut. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Where was this, though?
This was in America.
In America?
Not in Tunbridge.
No.
Not in Tunbridge.
No.
No.
Not in Peckham.
No.
Very, very high tap ratio.
I'll tell you what annoys me.
Yeah.
If it's 5 items or fewer, then it's 5 items or fewer. Don't come in with 6 and stand in front of me.
Yeah, but that's confusing.
Do you count them in the
sometimes
bag? Do you look in
Yeah,
that basket?
you bet I do, yeah. And then say absolutely nothing about it.
Yes.
But what if it's 3 for 2?
That's 3. I'll give you one of those items off.
So you'll give me 2?
I'll give you
2 for 3?
those 3. But if there's not a special offer on, and I'm checking...
You're Scottish. I know you're checking for those special offers.
Oh, careful.
That was low.
Go on, take him.
That was low.
Yeah,
Get your
exactly.
sonic thing out.
What, hedgehog?
In the First World War...
Is that it? I don't remember it being a biro from W.H.
It's not
Smith.
working.
It's not working, help!
In the First World War, they toured a tank around Britain.
Knocked all his hair off. Don't wave it around.
Easy with that.
Whoa!
In the First World War, they toured a tank around Britain.
Yeah.
And it went to all the major city centres in the country, and people were encouraged to raise money for the war, to chuck any spare change they had into the tank.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where did they get most money? Glasgow!
Oh!
Yeah, because they thought it was a big fruit machine.
He's bad.
No, that's...
He's bad.
Look, I've won a soldier, Mummy! I've won a soldier!
I thought it was a...
Oh, he's gone again! He's gone again!
bandit. Yeah.
I can't do this! I can't! You'll win a prize! I can do it!
There's a wee chain around it.
Oh, dear, oh,
Is that
dear.
a Scottish accent, by the way?
Well, there we are.
Well, that
Anyway.
was a Scottish
Yes, it was.
So the fact is we're more tolerant of queue jumpers than they deserve, it seems. Now, until 2008, it was legal to smoke what I'm talking about in Dutch coffee shops, but now they've changed the law. So what is it? Yes.
Tobacco.
He's clever. He's right. We thought you might say cannabis, but you're too smart.
No, they don't mind you smoking that. They encourage it.
Yeah.
I went to Amsterdam when I was 19 years old, and I don't do drugs, and I'd never done drugs, and I sat in this cafe, and everyone was smoking, and genuinely, I said, no, I'm not going to touch that, I'll just have a piece of cake. And I ate this cake, and then someone said, you know what's in
It's a
that,
hash
don't you?
brownie.
But I thought that was the same way as you have, like, brandy and trifle or something. I thought it's not going to get you drunk, it's just a little jokey thing they say. So I had one, I said, had no effect, I'll have another one. So I ate another one, and then, 2 o'clock in the morning, I accused the taxi driver of trying to kill me.
No, you're right. The point is, it leads to rather bizarre situations. If you mixed your cannabis with tobacco in a coffee shop, you would be fined.
Well, that's what they used to sell.
So you can only have pure...
Sell you mixed or...
Not since July 2008. Now you have to smoke your cannabis as pure cannabis in grass or hashish form, I suppose.
So you can't get passive smoking from pure...
No, it's fantastically carcinogenic. It's much more carcinogenic than tobacco.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
It's 7 times more or something.
Oh, sure, really.
So
Yeah.
here it is.
Well...
3 joints, that's 20 fags.
Oh, my goodness. But in the street, if you were to smoke... You could smoke tobacco in the street, but if you were to mix it with cannabis, you'd be breaking the law by doing that.
Yeah,
so it's a very complicated
whether
system.
to go indoors or out.
Magic mushrooms,
Magic mushrooms.
or a version of magic mushrooms, since you're talking about drugs, the fly agaric, which is that sort of like the
Toadstool.
mushroom you get in a fairy tale. You'd see a little
Toasty,
elf
like a big cheese
sticking
toasty.
on it. It's sort of red with white spots on it.
Yeah.
The fly agaric in Siberia was eaten by the reindeer, and so the reindeer would eat this fly agaric and they'd bounce around.
Off their face.
And that is where they reckon the legend of flying reindeer came from.
Oh,
For your
that's
Christmas
a
edition of
Christmassy
QI. There you
story. Thank you,
The
David.
drug-addled reindeer of old
And
Siberia.
then, because it's highly toxic to humans, so they would collect the reindeer urine and drink it and get a secondary
Buzz.
hit. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
brilliant.
then you could drink the wee of the man that drunk
Yeah.
it. Just a mild sort of,
Yeah.
sort of nice feeling.
Yeah.
Eventually, it would come down to a tiny little, just a cube, wouldn't it? And they would pop it in your drink, and it'd be like a little sort of Pro Plus.
Fabulous. We're actually going to move on to various forms of narcotic in a moment, but I'm just going to just finish off the smoking business. Now, tell me when smoking bans were first introduced into Europe.
3 years ago? 4 years ago?
No, it's earlier than that.
5 years ago.
Much earlier. You're thinking...
I'm not an idiot. 10 years ago. What the hell? 15 years ago.
Try 79 years ago. Almost.
I've got an idea.
76.
79 years ago.
Almost 79 years ago, yeah.
You're the one that
No.
said it!
Yeah,
You
I've
can't
been
say that. Try
corrected.
79 years ago. 79 years ago. No, almost 79 years ago. I mean, that's the first time on the show. Cut me some slack.
But if you rewind, you'll find I then corrected myself and said, no, actually make it 76 years ago. But that's all right.
If only I could rewind.
76 years.
Well done, Alan. Very good.
I hate this game.
His experience, and it was the Nazis. It was the
The
Nazis.
Nazis banned smoking.
Nazis, yeah, they had very strong
The
anti-smoking.
more I hear about them, the less I
Well, that's the final straw.
Up until
Dirty
this
poopers.
point, I've been prepared to...
Oh, I
listen.
could rationalise everything else.
No, bans on smoking in public places, smoking advertising, restrictions on tobacco rations for women, and linking tobacco use with lung cancer. Hitler called tobacco the wrath of the Red Indian man against the white man for having been given hard liquor. He even suggested that Nazism might never have worked if he hadn't given up smoking.
That's a crazy
It's true,
one.
though, because if you're doing that, you've got a fag in your hand, it's got less impact, doesn't it?
You've got to put your fag in your mouth.
Maybe that's how that started. He didn't like to smoke.
Oh. The first smoking ban we can find, 1640, Tsar Michael of Russia declared smoking a deadly sin. Smokers were flogged, had their lips slit.
Ooh, that's
strong.
One, isn't it?
Whoa, your lips slit.
Like when you lick an envelope.
Oh,
Paper cut.
that's horrible.
Oh, what about in Jackass when they did paper cuts between the toes? I was kneeling on my seat in the cinema facing the other way going, tell me when it stopped! Look at it.
Sorry, do you go to see Jackass at the cinema? That's commitment. I don't mind watching it late at night when I'm coming from the pub, but I wouldn't go to the cinema.
There was a movie.
Jackass the movie is the funniest film ever made.
I preferred Jackass the novel.
Jackass the ballet.
Yes. Oh, he did. Oh, very amusing. I jumped in a trolley, I believe. Extraordinary.
But it was James I of England and VI of Scotland who was the first real anti-smoking tyrant. He wrote a pamphlet called A Counterblast to Tobacco, which he damned it and double damned it.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
Fair enough.
Yep, for being injurious to the eyes and the lungs and the nose and everything. He kind of spotted that it wasn't a good thing to do.
I don't want to pick you up and be unspancy, but you can't damn it and double damn it, can you? You can damn it and triple damn it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was his mistake, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Chairman of the Pedantic Society. I believe...
Vice Chairman, actually.
Yes, yes.
Do you know... Very good.
God bless you, you do that.
The smoking ban in the Netherlands means you can smoke cannabis but not tobacco in a coffee shop and tobacco but not cannabis on the streets. So you can't smoke tobacco in Dutch coffee shops or libraries, come to that matter. But do you get a kick out of book sniffing?
Book sniffing?
Yeah. Why would you sniff a book?
Is it a form of glue sniffing? Is it get the adhesive?
It's not the adhesive. It's when a book ages enough, what would form around it? Mildew and mould and general fungal matter. And
What mushrooms are growing on books?
Yeah, one of the fungus. Yeah, one of the fungi that grows is an hallucinogenic fungus. And it seems it maybe has been responsible for affecting quite a lot of scholars and antiquarians. One of the leading mycologists of Europe, he's actually said the source of inspiration for many great literary figures may be nothing more than a quick sniff of the bouquet of mouldy books.
Who's buying books that look like that?
Well, but they've been libraries. All books are rotting. They rot faster and faster. There's a real problem with books because the paper breaks down into an acid which makes them rot even faster.
So we have to get quite close to it.
You get quite close, and you have to do it for quite a long time. Yeah.
It's a rather unusual way of
In a library.
Seems extraordinary.
I can't help doing that. You know, when you
practice.
if I go to the dentist, right, and there's a magazine from like 3 years ago, and I'm having a look through, and they've got one of those aftershave things that you...
Oh, yeah, little
things.
scratching.
I can't help. I always have a little.
Yeah.
And I always think, because if it smells after 3 years, it must be a good one. Because I always have a problem that aftershave stops smelling after about 3 or 4 hours. So I think if it's survived 3 years, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't buy Class, can you?
Well, the fact is, it would take a long time to get truly high on one of them, but it is a real fungus and it is truly hallucinogenic. Like the one you mentioned, shrooms. What is the proper name for shrooms? The magic mushrooms. Oh, hallucinogenic ones. You've mentioned fly agaric, which is like that one, really. But the magic mushrooms, psilocybin. So with a silent P, psilocybin. Interesting experiments have been done with magic mushrooms, encouraging some to believe that religious experiences, all told, are based on some sort of hallucinogenic experience. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, isn't there, there's some sort of theory in America that there's a kind of a religiosity, there's a kind of a God spot in the brain. There's some kind of
some people have come
point,
up with that
there's some part of the brain which actually induces some sort of spiritual...
Which may be accessed by things like magic mushrooms. Yeah. And do you know who it was who rediscovered the magic mushroom? Albert Hofmann, his name was.
Albert Hofmann, yes.
And he was the first person
to take out, to formalise acid, wasn't
acid,
he?
LSD.
Yeah.
LSD, that was his even more famous thing. And do you know where he got LSD from, as it were? Do you know where?
It was a byproduct or something, wasn't it? It was a...
Marmite.
Yeah.
Oddly not that far off. In
Vegemite.
Well, no. I mean, a little further than that. But a kind of bread. Bread would have a mould which would cause hallucinations.
The yeast of a bat.
It was called ergot.
Ergot, yes.
You've heard of that?
Yes, so it grows on wheat.
Yeah, and rye.
And rye, yeah.
Rye in particular. And ergot has lysergic acid in it. And it was while looking at this that Hofmann basically absorbed some in through his skin without knowing it and had these extraordinary hallucinations. Yeah. And so he thought, 3 days later, he took what he thought was a tiny dose, having basically synthesised the lysergic acid diethylamide, and it proved to be 1,000 times more potent than he expected, and he had a terrible trip, and he wrote, "A demon had invaded me. It had taken possession of my body, mind and soul. I jumped up and screamed, trying to free myself from him, sank down again, helpless on the sofa. The substance which I had wanted to experiment upon had vanquished me. I was seized by the dreadful fear of going insane."
But wasn't it the fact that he actually, he was funded by the CIA, because the CIA got wind of it, and they thought it was some sort of drug that could enhance performance, sort of, you know...
Or truth drug, I think.
A truth drug.
It was known as Project MK Ultra.
That's it, yeah. And basically, they were responsible for sort of the psychedelic movement. So the CIA basically eventually led to Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah. Thank God for the CIA.
Yeah, in the end. Without them, we wouldn't have had the Purple Haze.
No, exactly.
Anyway, old books give off a mixture of inert gases and hallucinogenic fungus spores, a combination much beloved of book sniffers. Now, who is the coolest, grooviest, hippest cat on the show tonight?
David Tennant, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I'm going for Bernd.
Yeah, could be. What do we know about these words?
They're jazz words.
Many of them are jazz words. And how old are they?
Since the 20s, 30s?
Early...
40s?
No, earlier. Stone Age.
Let's take the word cool. When did it first mean, like, fashionable, do you think?
60s beatnik poet era.
Hitler.
Oddly enough, it was the year Hitler came to power, 1933, but I don't think that's quite relevant.
These new uniforms are cool.
1933. Bizarrely.
So this is Christmas.
I'm Johnny's in Nazi party. They're cool, Daddy-o.
Cool, Daddy-o.
Bizarrely, it was 1933.
Besides, I have no choice.
Yeah.
I burned out a Reichstag. Cool. Jazz Nazis, eh?
It was the West Coast School of... But it was the West
Jazz
Coast...
Nazis are used both ways.
It was the West Coast School of Relaxed Jazz led by Miles Davis, and his album The Birth of the Cool was 1957, which, oddly enough, is the year I was born.
Extraordinary.
So maybe I am cool.
Cool.
I love that
Groovy.
if you saying all that as a chat-up line in a nightclub. Yeah. Do you know who the coolest person in the room is tonight? No, let me explain. In 1933, cut to 2 hours later,
so cool.
and that, madam, is why I am cool. Can I get to another move?
Where's she gone?
Don't go.
What about Groovy? What about Groovy? When did
Groovy, baby,
When did
yeah.
the Groovy first arise?
Ploughing in the 17th century.
It's got to be from records, isn't it?
You're right. In the 1930s, again, black jazzers in the 1930s, in the groove, because the needle was in the groove of the record. Exactly. There we are. So what about hip or hep? When did that come? A hip cat, hep cat. When did that...
Hip or hep?
Well, both words are used.
Hep. I've never heard hep.
You've not heard hep?
I've heard hep cat, yeah.
As in
You've heard
hep, hep, hep hop.
1940s. Yeah, I've read On the Road.
My man's just had a hep operation.
But
Or a
it's
hop operation.
hip or a
where you
hop.
just cut one
Hip,
leg
hop,
off.
hep. It first came in black
Roman
American
times.
slang in 1904, hip.
Or is it a bit more sexual, maybe?
Well, they so often are, I'm afraid. There is a theory that in the groove is also a sexual reference to the little shape of the lady piece.
Oh, hello.
And I want you to do that in your chat-up line as well. Come back, I have something else to tell you about it.
What about cat, meaning fellow or chap? Or
Well, that's got to come from Top Cat, hasn't it?
top cat?
He was the coolest cat in
He
town.
was the coolest
Yeah.
cat. He was top cap.
He always got one over on Officer Dibble.
He did.
Cats. From the musical Cats.
That's not cool.
Give me a year as to when cat, meaning fellow, was first spotted.
1920.
Exactly right, to the year. Brilliant.
Wow, that was a guess.
All right. Good. More points. Get ready with a year to shout. Chick, meaning a girl.
Chick.
Yep.
Spanish, chica.
Chiquita.
Chiquita.
Sí. 1927.
Well, that's in Shakespeare.
Chick.
All my little chicks.
Oh, in one fell swoop, you're right.
Yeah.
In Mac, as you
Yeah.
don't say Beth. What about dude? Dude, meaning a person.
The Amish.
When, not who.
1702.
Any other
Why? Let us build a barn, dude.
Any other thoughts?
Neanderthal
1703.
times.
1883.
1883, dude.
Foxy.
Pardon?
I beg your pardon.
Foxy. 1895. Wicked, meaning good, meaning splendid.
2001.
The Salem witch trials.
Your favourite year, 1920.
1920?
F. Scott Fitzgerald used
What,
it
meaning-
in that sense.
meaning-
I know, these are all
You don't mean
surprises.
wicked in the burner as she's a witch?
No,
yes?
no, of course not. That's much
They
older.
weren't doing that in the 1920s, surely.
No, wicked in the sense of good, cool, excellent, wicked.
It'd be awful, actually, if you said that in the 14th century, thinking you're being cool. I'm wicked, and they just
Yeah.
set fire to you.
Kill you.
So much of the youth slang we associate with the 60s and 70s is actually American jazz speak from the 30s or even earlier. Now, polygamy would be fairly groovy. If you were Mormons, how many wives would you have?
Up to 9.
Up to 9?
Yes. Oh.
Well, that counts as many, I'm afraid.
Oh, does
Bill,
it?
I'm
Up
sorry.
to 9?
Yeah, up to 9
many.
counts as many.
Famously, yes, counts as many.
Depends what you're discussing.
It's several,
I suppose,
after
yeah.
9, yeah.
Totally different. If a policeman stops you and says, have you been drinking tonight? So you can't go, no, I've only had up to 9. You've had many, haven't you? No, not many. I have between 1 and 9, officer. What do you mean I can't drive a tractor at 4 in the morning through the shopping centre? I only had many.
I'm just after some shoes.
But as you probably know that obviously Mormons are associated with plural marriages. Joseph Smith, the founder, had a divine revelation, apparently, telling him that he could have as many wives as he liked. But they were stopped by the American government because they basically said you can believe what you like, but you can't do what you like. So you can believe you can have as many wives as you like, but you can't have it as a practice. You can have it as a belief. And
Does this mean it happens, but there's just no legal...
No, it means it doesn't happen because they go to prison. But
people live together in groups of up to 9.
Yeah.
Without actually...
Yeah. They do. This is the weird thing about polygamy. We all treat it as if it's some terrible thing like incest. But actually, the weird thing is, if you deceive someone by having a mistress and a whole family...
Yes.
It's not against the law. But if you said to 2 women, look, I love you both, you're absolutely splendid, how would it be if I married both of you? And they said, OK, that would be breaking the law.
Yes.
It's kind of odd. Or a woman said that to 2 men.
It's a tricky time to bring it up at Christmas, though, isn't it?
Well, I just don't see why it should be quite so illegal if people are on for it, if they willingly enter it. If it's a deception, I think it should be wrong.
Should it be capped at a certain number?
Up to 9.
Up to 9, I think. I think bring in the Bailey rule.
10, that's
10, I'm not a slag.
Well, so you say you can't actually do it, then? They don't condone polygamy at all?
No, it's against the law. It's against the law. Fortunately, the head of the Mormon church, just as it was being announced as illegal, had a convenient divine revelation telling him that the practice should stop. So God just came in at the last minute.
That's good.
Isn't it handy when that
is
happens?
handy,
Yeah.
that's good.
There are, of course, the lovely Osmonds. Aren't they lovely?
Are they all married to each other? Is that...
They're Mormons.
Oh, right.
They're members of the Church of Latter-day Saints, I think they call them. And then what teeth?
Beautiful.
They were rubbish. Weren't
Were they? Oh, they?
Apart from little Jimmy Osmond, he was a long-haired lover from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And there was, of course, it was Big Graham Osmond, the one they kept in the attic.
Who had terrible teeth.
He had one massive
yellow
like a
teeth.
claw.
Yeah.
But he wrote all the songs. By groaning them. He groaned them into a tin can that was connected by a piece of string.
Wild horses, crazy horses.
They're very bad. And
Roses!
What was that? What was that, Graham?
Bring me another wife!
now, pull yourself
My wife!
I'm allowed up to 9, Bill Baileyson!
Bring her up!
4!
I've only got 8.
I'm allowed to have many!
behave. Pull yourselves together at once. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
What a great idea!
Liverpool!
That's a great idea for an episode of Doctor Who, isn't it? Doctor Who goes into the attic and finds the elderly secret brother of the hospital. And that's how they kill off David Tennant. Imagine that.
Nobody's supposed to know that. Is that the plot of the Christmas show?
Played by Bill Bailey.
You're all sick puppies. Very ashamed of you. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons to whom he has forbidden polygamy for 120 years, as it happens, which brings us neatly to the magical mystery tour that we call general ignorance. So, if my Fab Four are ready, put your fingers on your buzzers. What are these gentlemen spelling out in semaphore? Yes.
Help!
Oh, you'd think, wouldn't you?
Oh, honestly, Paul McCartney died, and there's a replacement or something,
You're not quite that, but you
I Am the
see-
Walrus.
No. Yeah.
We is George, John is All, Paul is Liv, and Ringo is Yellow Submarine.
But not in one.
Not in, no.
No, right, OK.
That's the elderly brother of the Beatles that's not allowed to be seen.
Don't start.
Yellow Submarine!
Now.
Hey, dream believer! Oh, that was the monkey.
Help! Please, somebody! I need somebody!
Oh, write that down.
That's very good. Well done.
As it happened, the photographer who was commissioned to do the cover of Help did ask them to do it. But for some reason, nobody liked the outcome graphically. So instead, they positioned their arms in a pleasing arrangement, which ended up spelling N-U-J-V. Like so. Which...
It probably meant something to them.
Well, no, it gave rise to the first, as David intimated, the first of the great
Myths
Beatles
about
conspiracy theories. This was new unknown John vocalist, people said.
Oh, for
I know, isn't it tragic? Claiming that John had therefore died.
Ruin the band.
He'd died and been replaced, apparently.
So John had died and been replaced, and they said, we need a way of telling the thing, so let's get John back out, stuff him.
Yes, I
And
know.
that doesn't make... Surely a conspiracy theory, he wouldn't even... that John's in it, he's
I
not
know,
dead.
but actually Help would have looked like... It seems perfectly acceptable to me. There you are. And so it wasn't Help, it was N-U-J-V. So what are the other famous, if they are, or infamous Beatles?
Barefoot on the Abbey Road cover.
The Barefoot on the Abbey Road cover is the absolute classic, isn't it? And what did that indicate?
Dead.
It's something... It's,
Well, supposedly John is said to be dressed as a preacher, Ringo as an undertaker, George as a gravedigger, why a gravedigger in denim, and Paul with the suit but no shoes is a corpse. You might also notice that he's carrying a cigarette, but if you were to buy a modern copy of it, you would find that cigarette had disappeared.
Where's it gone?
There. Look, it's gone.
Wow.
Disappeared.
Wow.
Was there? It's gone. Anyway, photographer Robert Freeman wanted to arrange the Beatles to spell out help in semaphore. Didn't like the way it looked, so they went with N-U-J-V instead. What does Puff the Magic Dragon have in common with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds?
Christmas.
Lee.
Are they both about drugs?
They're not. A lot of people think they are, but neither is. Do you know Puff the Magic Dragon? Do you know the song?
Puff the magic dragon.
He lived by the sea.
Lived by the sea.
And he
And wallowed in the and the land of France and Lee. Puff the magic dragon.
No, very good. That's excellent.
that right?
Yeah, that's the song. Yeah, it's based on an Ogden Nash rhyme called "The Really O Truly O Dragon," and there was a Cornell student, Leonard Lipton, and he gave it to his friend Peter Yarrow, who wrote the song. And Peter Yarrow tells us quite specifically, even if I'd had the intention of writing a song about drugs, which I may have had at a later time, I was 20 years old at Cornell in 1959. I was so square, as was everyone else. Drugs had not emerged. I know Puff was a good dragon, would never have had drugs around him. Now you've heard that from the mouth of the dragon's daddy. It is not about drugs.
He thinks he's the dragon's dad.
Yeah. And he's not on top.
Well, there is that.
It was going well until the very end.
Do you know the official story of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds?
Yeah, didn't Julian come home from playgroup with a picture? Julian Lennon, that is,
Yeah.
and they said, what's this? And he said, it's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Brilliant. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
The
Well,
very
you've written
tiny-
the old song.
No, he'd done a painting.
Bloke upstairs going, that's my job!
He stole him a painting!
Get me a pen!
Christ. No, he'd done a... Little Julian...
I've got Lucy up
Oh, God. Little Julian had painted a picture of a girl surrounded by stars, and it was his friend Lucy in playgroup. And John said, what's that then? And he said, it's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
That was the older brother that spoke like that. We've been through it.
And,
Julian, what?
yeah, according to interviews with Lennon and the other Beatles, they didn't notice that the initials spelled out
LSD.
until after the record was released. Good. Now, finally, something seasonal at last. A man goes to the doctor, right? Doctor, I can't stop singing Auld Lang Syne. So the doctor says, I'll have to send you to the burns unit.
Very good.
Now, what's wrong with that joke?
Is it absolutely terrible?
Yes, see. Now, any other thoughts? What is Old
Well,
Lang?
no, of course it's not, because Bern's night is not on New Year's Eve, is it? It's on, when is it?
25th of January.
20th, yes.
Yes.
So, of course, you wouldn't be singing Auld Lang Syne on Bern's night. You'd be singing it on New Year's Eve. So
That's true.
You'd be waiting 3
But
weeks.
most people think that Auld Lang Syne was written by Robbie Burns. And, yeah.
Old Lang Syne wasn't even written by Bernd.
That's right. Although a lot of members of the Burns Society believe he wrote it and say that it's nonsense he didn't, he himself said he didn't. He said it was a traditional song that he wrote down.
Really?
Yeah. Auld Lang Syne first comes up in 1724. We see it, and that was 35 years before Burns was born. It's a very popular song, though, in all kinds of places, especially in the Far East. In
Yes.
Japan,
Yes.
it's played daily to mark closing time in most large department stores. So, how did Burns sign himself? What was his name? What did he call himself?
Rabbi.
Not Rabbi, funny.
Robin.
Robin he did, yes. Robin and Rab and Robert, but never Robbie or Rabbi, oddly enough. Although everyone calls him Rabbi or Robbie Burns. Yeah. And there you go. What does it mean, Auld Lang Syne?
Old.
Oh, I know what
long-
it means.
Long
Remembrance?
Syne.
Yeah, kind of old long since. It means in the old days, long time ago. And how do the words go? Anyone who can give me the lyrics gets points.
All the way to be forgotten now.
Sure, all the
Be forgot for the sake
Sing
of
Old Lang Syne. Old Lang Syne.
We'll pack a couple kindness yet for the sake of old lang.
Oh, yes, 4 points. Spot on. There he goes. But all that sex, drugs and rock and roll brings us to the end of the QI office party. And before we tell the boss what we really think of him, let's see if everyone has scored and what they have scored. Well, bless my blimey. With minus 29 points, I'm afraid our last place loser tonight is Lee Mack. In third place with -6, it's Bill Bailey. Oh, this is getting tense. First appearance, second place, -4, David Tennant. Which can only mean it's not only Christmas, it's a blue moon with +5. Alan Davies is the winner! So we are bidding a cool Yule and a gear new year to you all, from David, Bill, Lee, Alan and me. And tonight, for some reason, I thought I'd leave you with a joke about doctors and time travel. Doctor, I keep seeing into the future. And when did this start? Next Tuesday afternoon. Good night and happy Christmas.
More insults on the airwaves next on BBC Two with Alan Partridge, well and truly in the dung with his farming friends.